What's going on, beautiful people, and thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Couch. I am Carrington Brown, your relationship expert, and today we're going to talk about relationships, right? Not romantic relationships, but we're going to talk about friendships, right? And the reason why is because I've had lately a couple of conversations with clients and even personal friends about friends with other people and their other friendships or whatever. And it's what I've realized is that as Christians, a lot of us have misconceptions about navigating relationships or navigating friendships as Christians. Like, we be doing too much and we out of line and out of pocket a lot of times. And so what I want to do is just bring up 5 of the misconceptions that I believe that a lot of us are navigating our friendships with just because we Christians. So as Christians, we assume that we're supposed to do these things, but it's like, no, you ain't, right? So let's go ahead and get into it, right? So the first misconception I believe that Christians have when it comes to navigating friendships is that a lot of times Christians navigate relationships, friendships from the perspective of everybody deserves a chance. Right? That we feel like just because the Bible talks about Jesus being with the sinners and the money collectors and all of these people, right, that aren't Christian, a lot of times Christians feel like, hey, everybody deserves an opportunity or a chance to be in my bubble, to have a relationship with me, to build with me, to grow with me, to have my number, all this type of stuff. When in actuality, no. Right? I tell my clients you need to navigate friendships the same way you navigate romantic relationships, meaning that there should be standards. There should be criteria to being your friend. Because if you don't have a criteria, then how are you going to make sure that you're aligning with people that you're supposed to align with, right? 2 Corinthians 6, 14 through 17 talks about like what fellowship does light have with darkness? Right. So it's like, if you're light, then why are you connecting with darkness? Right. Not being associates with them, not knowing them, but being actual friends and choosing to really spend and invest your time with them. That's not what's up. And that's not a bad thing at all, right? A lot of times Christians can feel like that's bad, but it ain't, right? That's just a filter system, right? When we look at Philippians 4:8, hey, brothers and sisters, whatever is pure, whatever is holy, whatever is good, whatever is praiseworthy, amazing, just, admirable, like truthful, like focus on these things. So if God gave you a filter system for life, then why would you not need a filter system for relationships, right? So kill that, right? Everybody does not deserve a chance to be a friend of yours, to have a relationship with you, right? First thing. Second thing is this. There's a misconception in friendships as Christians that prioritizing you is selfish, right? If you prioritize you being selfish. If you take care of you before me, you being selfish. If you don't answer my calls because you need a minute. If you do stuff without me. If you choose to go on vacation and don't invite me, then you being selfish. No, it ain't. That ain't selfish at all. Because as a Christian, you really sinning if you're not prioritizing you over other people. Matthew 22, I believe it's 34 to 37, expert in law came to Christ, and Christ said, hey, the most important commandment is to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Equally as important to the greatest commandment is loving your neighbor as you love yourself, which means that the way that I love my neighbor is going to be an extension of how I love myself, which means that I need to love myself properly in order to be prepared, equipped, and positioned to love my neighbor properly. But I can't love myself properly or my neighbor properly if I'm not prioritizing me above and before my neighbor. Because the more healthier I am, the better a neighbor I can be. The more happier I am, the better a neighbor I can be. The more rested, the more energized, the more at peace I am, the better neighbor I can be. Which means that in order for you to be the best version of yourself for everybody else, you have to be intentional about investing in you, focusing on you, and being the best version that you need to be for yourself. So prioritizing you is not being selfish. It's actually being selfless. And it's really the best way that you can focusing and prioritizing you is really the best way that you can prepare and equip yourself to be something excellent for somebody else, right? Misconception number 3 is that passivity is Christianity. Allowing yourself to be passive, allowing yourself to slide, just walking in extensive forgiveness is Christianity. When in actuality, it's not, right? Being passive is not a trait of Christ. Right, letting stuff. I saw a tweet a couple of months ago that said, "I forgive myself for everything that I let slide." And this kind of goes back to the necessity of having a criteria for your friendships. Because when you have a criteria for your friendships, your friends understand that, hey, my partner ain't just gonna be partners with me just because. Like, there are standards here, and so when there are standards and expectations in place, people carry themselves differently. Excuse me. And so because of that, you have to understand that in relationships, being passive is not beneficial to neither party at all. Like, it's not beneficial to either party. And so passivity is not Christianity, right? It's really of the devil. And we ain't gonna go into that in this conversation, maybe the next one. So misconception number 4 is that you always must forgive, forget, and keep. Right? As Christians, God, how many times am I supposed to forgive? I'm supposed to forgive, Lord, how many times? He says 7 times. He said, no, 7 times 70. Right? Whatever amount that you forgive and give forgiveness is going to be that same measure is going to be given back to you. That's great. But what that don't mean is that just because you forgive somebody that you forget what happened and you keep them around. Right? There are some mistakes that people make. Well, actually, let me hit that real quick. A friend of mine says that kids make mistakes, adults make decisions. So there are some decisions that adults make that are forgivable. I believe that everything is forgivable, but it's it's irreconcilable, right? So I can forgive you for that, but even though I forgive you for that, which is the process of disconnecting yourself mentally and emotionally from a negative experience, even though I can forgive you from that, our relationship will never be reconciled as a result of what you did. Like, we're not about to be cool no more. And a lot of times Christians feel like as a Christian, it's our responsibility to forgive. And we believe that forgiveness looks like letting this thing go, sweeping it under a rug, and allowing this person to get back immediately in the place and the position that we once were. No. When somebody disrespects you, when somebody mistreats you, when somebody goes against something or hurts you in some way, shape, form, or fashion, yes, you should forgive. But you also have to ask yourself, when they did this thing, what left with it? Did my peace leave? Did my joy leave? Did my trust in them leave? Right? Did this show a piece of them that I recognize could be a detriment to my life? If the answer is yes, forgive them and let them go about their business. You do not have a responsibility of forgiving and forgetting and keeping that person. Forgive, but we ain't gonna never forget, and you may not need to keep that person. Last thing is this. One of the misconceptions that Christians have is that we must save our friends, right? That's not your job. Right? That's you putting the pressure and role and responsibility of Christ being the Savior on you. And that ain't your job. And so as people, we got to understand that as Christians, it's not our job to be Jesus for our friends. It's our responsibility to be friends to our friends. Right? Yes, we can guide them. Yes, we can direct them. Yes, we can be accountable for them. But saving their lives is not our responsibility. That's Jesus' responsibility. It's our responsibility to be light, to give life, to give hope, to be optimistic, to invest, to love, to serve, and most importantly, to give God permission to navigate in this relationship through me to better both parties in this relationship. All right. So thank y'all so much for tuning into this video. I hope it helped and served you. If you know somebody need to hear it, go ahead and click that share button and send that thing on over to them. For you yourself, if you haven't already, go ahead and like, go ahead and comment, go ahead and subscribe. So every time that your boy put out a video, you make sure that you're getting updated on that. If you don't already, follow me on all social media platforms. I'm at TheCarringtonBrown. And listen, if you got some friendships in your life that you're like, I may need to disconnect from them, but you having some challenges or question marks on how to actually do that, click the link in the description box below to schedule a free call with me. Let's jump on a call and see how you actually need to navigate this situation to make sure that it serves you and that other individual in the best way possible. All right. Thank y'all so much for tuning into this episode of The Couch. Love y'all. Have a phenomenal, blessed, productive day, week, life. I'll holler at y'all soon. Peace out.